Hey, how's it going, guys? Ricky Summer here, and today I've come back in time to talk about Elite Dangerous Odyssey. But first, a message from our sponsor.
Vice Galactic. What's your pleasure? We deliver.
Okay, Elite Dangerous Odyssey. For those who perhaps don't know what the math is going on, it's the new, presumably, expansion pass kind of thing like they did with Horizons, the whole planet landing deal. Now you can actually get out of your ship and walk on planets, which is very cool. So they've released the first dev diary in true Frontier fashion. They're starting the marketing very early and they're drip feeding the information. So we haven't got a lot, but I do want to talk about some things. So of course, we can get out of our ships now, or we will be able to get out of our ships early next year, 2021. And it seems to be, at least for the moment, they're focusing primarily on exploration. I did have a look at, what did they call it? The Discovery Scanner live stream, which again was very light on, very few details. There's certainly no more information, just perhaps a couple of things clarified. And Braben himself said that Odyssey is going to be about exploration, combat on foot, which we can infer from the dev diary and the trailer and whatnot that shows players presumably actually holding weapons, which is very cool. Atmospheres, so I think light atmospheres is specifically what we're getting, and planetary development. What? Okay, that one excites me. I don't know what it means, but it excites me. I'm not going to get too deep into that because it would be just pure speculation, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so first up, I'm glad to see that we will be getting combat on foot. It's just, something else to do. Okay, so the way I think it's going to be rolled out is exploration first, because that seems to be what they're focusing on. Assuming that they're not just if every dev diary is going to be a new feature, and I could be proven wrong, maybe the next one's going to be about combat. But I suspect that first up, we're going to get exploration, and then maybe combat and whatever planetary development is at a later date towards the end of the life cycle of Odyssey. So, exploration. Interesting. Quite interesting. There's going to be flora that we can scan, take that data and sell it. So it's essentially just like selling discovery data, but now you have to actually get out of your ship and walk around on a planet to do it. It could be fun. You've got this little tool that picks up DNA from it and whatnot. Honestly, what I got from this was Elite Dangerous is starting to feel like No Man's Sky. And I'm not saying that coming from a place of No Man's Sky did it first, or even from a place of Elite Dangerous is going to do it better than No Man's Sky. I don't give a shit about that stuff, quite honestly. If you like that kind of stuff, that is cool, because then it's just another game that is tackling that kind of gameplay. The setting down on planets, getting out of your ship and exploring, cataloging new species of flora and hopefully maybe fauna at some point. I don't know. That's a note that I've got here. They mention other tools. So far they've only actually confirmed the, what do they call it? The field sampler. They've only mentioned the field sampler, and that's relating to flora. And coming along with that is a new rank, Exobiology. So you can actually rank up like you would in combat or exploration or trade. You can rank up in Exobiology. That's interesting. All that, you can look at that and you go, all right, that's the only information they've given us, but it's so very specific that I can't help but feel that there's going to be more. Whether that's coming at the start of Odyssey, I doubt, or it comes later on. I just think it would be weird to be like, hey, you can do combat, trade, exploration, which are very broad, vague activities, and then also this very specific exobiology, which only happens on planets and you can only do when you get out of your ship. It makes sense, but also just from a conceptual gameplay standpoint, it feels very vague. Vague enough that I can't help but feel that they might expand with new ranks, new activities outside of exobiology. I hope. I'm not sure if exobiology is going to be necessarily my thing. It depends how compelling the exploration is. To compare it to No Man's Sky, because that's the title of the video, and that's the feeling that I got, that Elite Dangerous is starting to feel a lot more like No Man's Sky. To compare it to No Man's Sky, yeah, it's a different setting, a different tone, but No Man's Sky is very dense and eclectic. Love it or hate it, it's got a lot crammed in there. You know, the animals look friggin' weird and freakish, but there are a lot of them, and there's a decent amount of variety in there. Whereas what we've seen so far, and I think what we've come to expect from Elite Dangerous, is a much more homogeneous experience. I mean, you've got planets that are comprised mostly of one biome, right? We're talking about rocky worlds here is something they've mentioned. Ice worlds we can walk around on, which is very cool. I like that idea. But is there going to be much interest in exploring, for example, just for the sake of argument, the entirety of an ice world? You know, are we going to see enough variation in the landscapes on a particular single planet to really warrant spending that much time on a single planet? That's my concern so far, but I can't deny that the planets do look fantastic. And just from a pure visual marvel standpoint, I am excited to get out of my ship and just look around and have a look at the rock formations and just look up at the sky, look up at my ship, and that, I mean, yo, that's very cool. That's very exciting. So they are not talking about walking around on your ship, and they're not talking about walking around on stations just yet. They've actually said, like, people asked in the live stream, and they said they can't answer that. Does that mean it's coming later, or does that mean it's not coming at all? I don't know. I can't imagine that would be like, yo, here's Odyssey, here's the ability to walk around. You got space legs for the first time in 8 years. Apparently it's been 8 years since the Kickstarter. Wowee. You can walk around for the first time, but you can't walk around in your ship. You can't walk around on stations. I feel like people would riot, you know? And I can understand, I can forgive them if they're like, yo, walking on stations is gonna come later. Okay, but like, let us walk in our ships. Look, I'm not a developer, I don't know how much work goes into any of this, but as a layman, I go, huge planet that you can walk all over, much smaller ship that is set and doesn't require procedural generation and is consistent through every model, you know? What do I know? But look, I want to walk around my ship, even if it doesn't necessarily have any gameplay implication. I would really like to walk around on my ship. Leading on from that, again, a really, really small detail, but ideally hope that we can actually get up out of our seat and walk out of our ship to get to the surface. I hope it doesn't work the way the SRV works, which basically just teleports you to the seat. I really, really would love that little added immersion of actually having to travel to the surface. It's so weird. It's a game that is so heavily focused on immersion and does it so well, and yet these small little details they miss, you know? Like you teleport to your SRV. At the very least, if I'm out on the surface in an SRV, like, let me step out of it. Don't teleport me out of it. That would be fantastic. I mean, is that too much to ask? Anyway, so exobiology, it seems like exploration is going to predominantly focus around looking for flora, that's plants, vegetation, scanning them, collecting samples, and selling the exploration data essentially, and then ranking up our exobiologist rank, a new rank. The idea of other tools was mentioned in the live stream, and I'm thinking, yo, what else are we gonna have? Can we mine out there? Will we have the ability to maybe scan other forms of life other than flora? I don't know. I don't necessarily know if I want to like find lizards and mammals out there, but you know, give me something else to do. I feel like just going out and scanning plants isn't necessarily going to fulfill me for that long. That's Elite Dangerous in a nutshell, isn't it? But I would look, surface mining, that would be very cool. Even if it's done with like the SRV. I mean, how long has it been? We've just had one SRV, no upgrades to it, no variants of it. I'm pretty sure they mentioned that there were going to be variants of the SRV, but we never got them. So it'd be really cool if we got like a mining SRV, or I don't know what else you do with it. Maybe a combat specific one, I don't know. And then speaking of combat, like what are we going to be doing in terms of on foot combat? Yo, I'm pogging out of my gourd. Like, are we going to be shooting each other? Surely we're going to be able to shoot each other. Are there going to be little groups of bandits or something? I don't know. Are they going to be ground pirates that we can shoot? That's captured my imagination. Oddly enough, despite the fact that I'm not an FPS kind of guy, I really, really like the idea of flying to a planet, getting out of my ship, pulling out my big cannon and shooting someone in the face. So like I said, they seem to be focusing on the exploration element, at least for now, with the dev diary that they've released. They mentioned in the live stream that they want to give the player that Neil Armstrong moment, that moment of grandeur and majesty as you step out of your ship. And hopefully, like I said before, hopefully that means that we can actually step out of our ship and we're not just teleported. So once we actually step out of our ship and land on a planet, put boots on the ground, and we're the first one there. And we actually will get a credit for being the first person to step foot on a planet. And they seem to imply that that will override the discovery of a planet. So like, you can fly into a system, discover a planet, get your name on it, but then I'll fly to that system after you and actually land on the planet and walk around, and then my name is going to, I think, override your name or something like that. Anyway, they seem to imply that actually walking on the planet kind of takes precedent. It's the more prestigious title. Okay, I mean, I don't care so much about that, but it's good to know, right? So on the whole, this whole concept, Odyssey, is quite interesting. I actually traditionally never really was that excited about space legs. I see people on the forums talking about, when are we going to get space legs, this and that, and I'm like, I don't care, just like make mining more interesting and make combat more lucrative, please, and also like give us more to do in the game. And also, like, what happened to community goals? We haven't had one of those in forever, right? So can we get some gameplay, guys? You know, do you actually have gameplay in this video game of yours? Hello? But you know, now that it's on the horizon, pun intended, I am a little bit excited for it, and predominantly from the standpoint of being able to have a little more ownership over our character, the ship, just like our game world in general. I feel like being able to separate from the ship, having an element of independence from the ship, you know, coupled with the ability that we can actually customize our character, which of course is already in the game, that's exciting to me. You know, I want to be me. I want to be Ricky Summer in Elite Dangerous, not Ricky Summer, the vestigial pilot attached to my Crate Mark II in Elite Dangerous. You understand what I mean? So hopefully, along with Odyssey, we get a lot more options for personal customization and kind of more personal agency within the world. And yeah, look, it looks like we may be getting that. You know, maybe we can buy different spacesuits that are suited towards different tasks. I don't know, that's just pure speculation, but like that makes sense to me, right? Then again, like we were meant to get different SRVs and look how that worked out. But there you go, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you excited for Odyssey? And you know what? For those of you who are not 100% satisfied with Elite, which I think is becoming a more common sentiment as time goes on, what would you add? If you could add one thing to quote-unquote fix Elite for you, what would you add? For me, I think I would add a lot more transparency. It might not seem like a huge issue, but I think there's a lot more going on in the game than a lot of people realize, just because the game never tells you. Like the background simulation, everything we do does affect the background simulation, but how many people actually know that? How many people know it enough to actually have some sort of agency within the background simulation that they can actually change things? They know what they're doing. They know what to do to change things. I think very few people actually know what's going on with that, for example. And additionally, the obvious thing would be tools within the game to actually allow us to trade effectively and whatnot. It's gotten better as time goes on, but you still can't play Elite without some form of third-party website or app or whatever. It's a game focused on immersion, and yet you have to break immersion to open up a window on your second monitor or whatever so that you can check prices and then actually make a profit. Those tools should be in the game. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments, thoughts, fears, hopes, dreams, deepest, darkest secrets. But for the moment, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to gently caress that like button, taste the game, be excellent to each other, and I'll see you next time. Ricky Summer, out.